We are officially towards the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
Topic is summer check-in. We
Yes.
gotta touch base. There's been a lot of lacrosse going on.
Yeah, check in with your people.
The highs,
you gotta
the funny,
check in with your people.
the devastating. We've seen it all in the first 4 weeks. I think, knock on wood, the weather for the first 4 weekends pretty close to ideal. And this most recent weekend with 4 events.
The irony of that is that's the one thing we can't control and makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's probably our biggest challenge, and also can be our biggest asset. I was talking to one of the program directors. They're like, yeah, funny, when it's like 80 degrees and not 100, people are happy to be outside all day. Like, yeah, that's amazing how that changes the calculus.
Yeah. Did you feel like June went quickly?
Flew by. Like, yes. I can't believe that we're like 2/3 of the way through our tournaments. 7 of 11 are complete.
Okay.
It'll be 8 after this weekend.
Yeah.
And then July is really like camp heavy, but we head into camp. So it flew by. How about you? Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. I mean, we were Ari, a recurring character, Ari and I were talking, and we were like, how is June like almost over? Like it's just crazy.
Yeah. So you were at Radar this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Any highlights for you?
I think for me, the tournaments, it's this funny like amalgamation of like different people kind of in your world, and like there's like 3 buckets. I kind of like the current players, like the players that are on the current teams that went to a Trilogy camp or have done NDP or what have you, and then it's the club coaches, right? It's like the second bucket, and then the third bucket is the college coaches. What to speak, and then I guess the 4th bucket would be parents, and then the 5th bucket's
random
the vendors, and then the 6th bucket's refs.
Don't forget vendors. There's also vendors.
I think I put them in there, didn't I? So like I have a funny or heartfelt or like meaningful interaction kind of across the board. So it just depends on where you want to go first.
Let's talk about some alumni that you got, the Trilogy alumni. You talked about NDP, some future Aces kids. I know it's cool. I think one of the things that I really appreciate is how many kids now we have on staff that have come to Trilogy events. And I think that culturally, it's like you talk about building a culture. There's no better way than someone who grew up living your culture, whether that's playing for us for a week or playing for us multiple years. Then when they come back, it's like, this is how Trilogy does things. We know how this operates.
Yeah. So I think like the ones that are layups were, Jack LaBanca and Ryan Schmitz, like they were on my staff. And he
was there.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah. The one that kind of like was like, whoa, is and I'm going to go the club coach route is, so I'm standing there having a conversation with some cavalry guys, and all of a sudden, Tom Mariano is like, hey, this is Sean Fox. And I was like, wait, what? Sean Fox went to Future Aces East, like way, way, way back in the day. And now he's like, a 20-something-year-old man that's like helping coach. And that to me was like really cool, because I remember like coaching him at camp. And I think like that was like a little bit of an inflection point when like Future Aces East and Future Aces as a whole started to like gain some momentum, and we were getting like certain players from certain programs, and like I like remembered him like as a middle schooler, you know what I mean? And then like here he was now, and we're like catching up, and it's also cool, I think, to see people kind of following their own path, so he ended up going to Cornell, and now is at St. John's College, like this like fascinating school right outside of Annapolis that has like, it's like tiny, it's like 400 people, something like crazy like that like just like read books and like fully immerse themselves in like philosophy, and I just like, and what it's like in a tournament, like you're either going 1,000,000 miles an hour and like can't have a conversation with anyone, or you have like these like 10-minute like like real conversation
until the radio buzzes the life, like,
right.
There's a on field 3, and you're like, I gotta go see ya.
Yeah, exactly. And they get it. I mean, the people that understand get it. But it just so happens like there was like this perfect moment when it was like, oh my God, Sean Fox, yes. And like I wasn't getting pinged about 20 other things, and I got the chance to have like a 10 to 15 minute conversation with him and catch up, and it was so cool. And also just to see like someone evolve and mature, right, from like middle school to where they are now. So that was the one that was like coming out of it was like the haymaker, right? Like the one like, oh my God, that was so cool.
Yeah.
What about you?
Josh Kim was another guy who played for us growing up for the Sixers. Great player, got injured in his senior year, so wasn't able to play his senior year, which was a huge bummer, but came out and volunteered with the young kids, which was cool. And so he was coaching one of the Mad Dog teams. And so got to see him and the kind of that full circle moment. It is really cool to get to see the kids that you coach and then watch them kind of pass that on to the next generation. The other question I had for you, maybe we do a quick rules check. What is award? What isn't award? There's the parents' knowledge of the rules, and sometimes their knowledge of what they think are the rules. I think you probably saw a little bit less of this at the high school level. The number of times you hear parents going, "That's award. That's award." I'm like, if you hold your arm out and you keep it out, that's allowed. You're allowed to do that. If you push off on the stick, that is award. But had a lot of false awards called. But parents the last 4 weeks have been really, really great and complimentary to the refs even at Mercer County Park, which I was very impressed by.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any issues with warding calls. That was
high school. It's like you're a high school level. You're the step up. You're with the big boys.
Yeah, no, it was more. I mean, anytime you get to the tiebreaker situation, that's always like fun in terms of navigating those conversations and. The specifically like the three-way ties, right? And like that's where we had one three-way tie amongst some teams, and one team was 1-0, one team was 0-1, so that was kind of obvious, but you still had to explain it. And even then, there was a little bit of a breakdown in terms of like explaining to the coach and then like the parents, like that disconnect. And then one team was 0-0, and that's where like your heart goes a little bit, it's like it was Harlem Lacrosse, and I had a great conversation with Dakota, their coach, and all their players. But that was that was probably the toughest one, right? Because it's like they didn't play either of the other teams, whereas like the one team that won 1-0 amongst the collective, like they move on. And the 0-1 team you understand, but then the 0-0 team, it's kind of like that's where I like.
And the rationale though is they didn't play any of the higher, right? It's against they only played the teams that ended up lower in the bracket. So I get it, but yes, I agree. That's a tough one. We had a coin. I think you've been there before, but I was the flipper of a coin because we had.
Wait, what?
We had a head-to-head tie. We had a head-to-head tie. Then we had goals against. Then we had goals for. And I talked to both coaches. Like the next thing is a coin flip, and everyone was off site, so it's like they weren't able to come back and play a Braveheart or anything. And it's also like, what else do you go to? Like time of possession? How are you going to get that? So like talking through things, I was like, there's no other way to do it. So we had to go to the coin flip, and it was you still end up.
Do you do best of one, or do you do like best of?
No, one flip, heads tails.
I don't know.
You got to just do a flip. So we got the coin flip.
I don't think I've ever had that situation.
Yeah. The goals against and then goals for being tied as well. Like that's.
Wait, did you have a coin, or did you have to be like, wait a second, like where's?
The hardest part was finding a coin. We were like, should we just do it on a random number generator? But we found a coin, and we were able to get an actual coin flip.
I've never had that happen before.
Yeah, I think it's only happened 2 or 3 times in Trilogy's illustrious history of running tournaments. I think it's only been 2 or 3 times. So
the other thing that's occurring now, and I'm sure you will see this, maybe you saw it at Midwest Prime, maybe you'll see it moving forward. But not only like alums of the program like going and coaching club, but I think the other thing that's happening more now is also those people then going into college coaching, right?
College coaches on site.
So like a couple of years ago was the first time like an NDP kid was like Keegan Maxwell was coaching a college team, which was wild. And then so Jack Portolani is coaching at St. Joe's. He went to Gilman, and they went to spring break out in Arizona like years and years and years ago. and Jack played at Denver, under Coach T. His dad played at Princeton under Coach T. So it was fun kind of catching up with him just in terms of like all the different, whether it be Gilman, Denver, Princeton, him at St. Joe's, like all the different kind of touch points that we had in common. It was also just like, it was fun getting a chance to kind of catch up with him, especially like a young college coach, kind of like, as he is starting his career and kind of ascending. That was a real fun one too, in terms of like kind of trip down memory lane with regards to spring break, and then kind of like bring it up to speed in terms of like the current college landscape and kind of everything he's seeing, and from a recruiting standpoint, evaluating standpoint. So that was a fun interaction.
I joked about it in our meeting this week, but it's like, if you play lacrosse in New Jersey, New York, or Delaware, or Pennsylvania, June 20th, 21st, there's a pretty good shot you were 1 degree of separation from a Trilogy lacrosse tournament. Like, yeah, between the Ivy up in Connecticut with girls, between youth and high school in New Jersey, and then our Michigan event, I'm like, there was like a therapist, and she's like, oh yeah, my husband and my son were at your tournament. Like every there's like a million degrees of separate, or 1 degree of separation, everyone on the East Coast from a Trilogy lacrosse tournament this weekend, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like, if you were playing lacrosse, there's a good shot that either you were at the tournament or someone was at that tournament. And yeah, so all walks of life came out, and saw old business associates, saw parents of kids, and little brothers. Got to watch my own kid play. That was probably a highlight for me on Father's Day.
I was going there. I thought the Instagram post that we did of all the dads and their sons was really cool, and it was funny. Like I had a couple of interactions, that was like the most Father's Day thing ever. Like one dad was like, "Oh, it's Father's Day." Like
there was a mom and dad walking in. He's like, "Where's field 3?" And the wife immediately was like, "Oh, it's right there on that sign." I was like, "It's just like the fridge. You can't find it in the way." He's like, "It's even my day and I can't get it right."
But it was like the most Father's Day comment of like the father not knowing that it was Father's Day, like, "Oh, I didn't even, it was like, that's fatherhood right there, just in a nutshell. Like you didn't even know that it was Father's Day, like no notes, perfect. And then, I think the other part of it was just like hamming it up a little bit, like with some of the dads, like, "Hey, happy Father's Day," they're like, "Happy Father's Day." I think that was also like, got a kick out of that for sure. Obviously I have a daughter, she's 6, son is 5 months, and I'm like, I can't like project. I was saying this the other day, like, I'm like, I can't like project what I'm going to be like, in X amount of years. Right. How cool is it just to like be able to like watch your boy out there? I mean, it's gotta be pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool. And I think they came and helped set up on Friday, which hopefully we don't get like a letter from OSHA against child labor. But no, and then like for them to, I think I was talking about this with someone, like for them to see what goes into running a tournament and then get to come participate in it, like that's really rewarding, hopefully for them, but definitely for me. It's like, this doesn't just happen by chance. I think like when our interns are like, I didn't know all this goes into putting together a tournament. It's like, they get to see that right away. It's like, hey, if you work hard and like, teamwork is required, like good things can happen. And then you also get to do that on the field. It's like a bunch of lessons coming together. But no, it's great. And I think, I've always said, I have this theory that like the higher level you played any sport, the like more realistic you are with your kids. And it's not 100%, but it's kind of like the parents that didn't achieve much on one sport that really are hard on their kids or like drive them crazy, but or the crazy parents. But no, I try to keep it all in perspective, and I still have my crazy moments, but it was really fun to watch, and like to be able to chill out a little bit and watch and kind of, but also like give my 7-year-old a ride in the golf cart, which made him the king of the castle. Like that was very cool.
I'm glad that they set up. I didn't realize that was the case, because they get to like see how the sausage gets made, so to speak. But also, I think it's almost like the lacrosse version of working in a restaurant, right? Like I think everybody at one point in their life should work at a restaurant, right? Whether it's back of the house, front of the house, whatever. Like if you kind of like the proverbial kind of walk a mile in their shoes, like you treat restaurants a different way. You treat the people that are serving you and making your food a different way if you kind of like lived that. And it's such like a humanistic quality. Like the fact that your boys now know all the work that goes into that. I gotta imagine there's like an appreciation for, and maybe not now, maybe as they get older, because everything's just kind of like this, right? There's a certain naivety to it, but I gotta imagine there's an appreciation for getting the opportunity to play and understanding, like you said, everything that goes into it. There's a little bit more of a conscientious, like a little bit more of a awareness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, as we're going, I was like, oh yeah, maybe one day you'll work for Trilogy, to Mac, and right away he's like, I'm not going to work for Trilogy. I was like, okay, cool. And then we rolled around in the golf cart for about 20 minutes. I let him drive a little open strip because, you know what? I might work for Trilogy Lacrosse. So turns out, just let them drive a golf cart and they're hooked for life.
The golf cart is the great equalizer. It is kind of like hilarious how even like adults driving around a golf cart turn into like little children. It is kind of amazing in that regard. So the other thing about the events is, and I'm going to bring this up because we both had some casualties. The wind is fantastic, and everyone loves a good breeze.
Ice breeze, not a whipping gale force wind like we saw from time to time on Saturday.
Oh man, the wind in the tents is just, it's like this battle, this fight, this intrinsic fight where just the tents are trying to hold on for dear life as best they can, and
we stake them down tight, but every now and then you get that rogue gust at the right angle. And yeah, 10 by 20, we lost a good 10 by 20 at Mercer County Park. The 8 by 8s, if the 8 by 8s go, they just crumple. The 8 by 8s they get destroyed.
So that's the one funny thing. And then the other funny thing to me is the disparity from field to field. And I don't know if it's the field marshals or the teams or what dynamic it is, but the every time I work an event, there's always one field marshal in one field. It's like, we were into like this, no joke, like the second or third block. And the field marshal's like, I'm out of balls. And it's like, that's not possible. Like, that's not like,
you had an entire bucket 2 hours ago.
Well,
Oprah with the balls. You get a ball and you get a ball.
The other fields went the whole day with what they were allotted at the start. This one field marshal multiple times throughout the course of the day was like, I'm out of balls. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, how?
You're also enclosed turf facility.
Yes. I'm like, is it just like along the fence and you just not realize it? Like, how is it possible that you need balls all the time and no one else is crying wolf? Like, there's a breakdown in logic here. But that, to me, it's like, there's like, like the bingo card of like working events. And that is one that I always am like punching, is like the one field marshal that runs out of balls like instantaneously.
Yeah, the field marshal role is one that we need to have like a whole maybe like one of those diagrams, or like the ultimate field marshal of like, here's how and it's so funny. I always tell the kids, we have a field marshal at every field. They're really in charge of running the field. They flip the scoreboard, they relay the timing. We're on a central clock. But I'm like, if you are engaged, it's the easiest job and everyone loves you. If you're disengaged, nightmares happen. That is what nightmares are made of. You will get yelled at. Kids will tell you to flip the score every time. But it's like if you're and it's amazing how big the disparities can be between like the people who love doing it. I mean, it's awesome to watch. They build relationships with the coaches. They're joking with the refs. They're getting out on the field doing the 10-second countdown. And then you got some that are just sitting in the tent petrified, and you're like, please just tell them. Please just tell them the clock's about to go. There's a shot that's about to happen. You got to tell them. You got to give them a 5-second countdown, or there's going to be confusion.
So combining the wind tent battle and our field marshal So we have rubber bands for all of our scoreboards. So because when there's wind and they flap all around, so we put a rubber band. This was a first for me. I got a request from a field marshal for additional rubber bands because all the rubber bands that they had snapped.
I went to one of our field marshal's tables, saw a snap rubber band. I was like, what happened? He's like, it broke. And I looked in his bucket, 5 broken rubber bands. I tied them together. I tied 2 together and refashioned the rubber. It worked great. So I got a hack for you. But 5, I'm like, we might need to just like soak them or something. They're all drying out and breaking. I don't know. The wind was too much for rubber bands, I guess.
That was a first for me. He's like, I'm out of rubber bands. And then, of course, given the preparation, shout out.
Same guy that was out of balls?
That's a really good question.
It probably was. Rubber products just do not match.
That's a really good question. But shout out to our ops team. I was like, check your field marshal kit? ? Like, I don't have rubber bands. Actually, weirdly, I did actually have rubber bands in my back pocket. But I was like, and he's like, oh yeah, there's plenty in here. And I was like, oh my God. So
that would be a fun game show. Like, name what's in a field marshal kit. Name 5 items in a field marshal kit. You get 3? Can you get 3 of the 5?
Right now?
Yeah.
Cones.
Yeah.
Sharpie.
Yeah.
Rubber bands.
Okay.
Stopwatches.
Yeah, or little clocks, but yeah, we'll give it to you.
Those are stopwatches.
Oh, the little white clock, sure.
All right, we had stopwatches. Oh boy.
Zip ties.
Come on, zip ties. Scissors.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Screwdriver. Sunscreen. Thanks to our partners, Vacation Sunscreen. We got sunscreen in every field marshal kit. That was a big pickup. Thank you, Vacation. Smells delicious.
Is that it? Am I blanking on it? Am I missing it?
Yeah, usually there's like a little mini first aid kit.
Aids and stuff.
Producer Andrew's been dipping into the field marshal kits. He knows what's in there.
Yeah.
And plenty of rubber bands. You mentioned rubber bands, but
yeah.
Bands, third.
Yeah. All right. Well,
let's shift over. Should we shift over to professional lacrosse?
Sure.
We get what's going on in the PLL these days. We got some former MVPs that are no longer on teams. We got some big wins. We got some tough losses. Some offense that doesn't exist for some teams.
I think so. We coming off the weekend in Long Island. There was just 3 games. Atlas played 2 of them. Huge comeback wins in both of them. Really neat to hear Brendan Burke back on the call. My former partner from NBC. So he was back in the booth, which was really, just kind of great to hear his voice, So that was kind of cool. And I think, really the West is just a gauntlet. You look at it just from kind of a top down perspective, and all the teams are just really good, really solid, and kind of like unique, which is, I think, really cool. Is like there's not this kind of like conformity across of them in terms of like the personnel they have and how they play. They each have like their own kind of unique style, but you just look like top to bottom in terms of Denver Outlaws, California Redwoods, Carolina Chaos, and Utah Archers. And like game to game, you kind of flip a coin, I think, to a degree in terms of, who comes out on top. Whereas in the East, I think we're starting to like about halfway through the season here, there's clearly kind of like this top, middle, and bottom, in terms of like Boston's really, really kind of struggling. And then in the middle, you kind of see you got New York and Philly, and like which one of them is going to kind of like emerge. Obviously, New York getting 2 wins was huge, really, in terms of saving their season. Maryland kind of was, the Whips were kind of at the top, and they kind of got pulled back a little bit into the mix by New York. But there's a little bit of a kind of haves and have-nots in the East, whereas in the West, I think like it's still kind of like really kind of see how things kind of shake out. And obviously this is going to be a critical weekend coming up, out in San Diego. I'm flying out later this week with California, having 2 games, but like, that's kind of where we are from like a big picture perspective.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about San Diego. It's been a couple weekends since you've been back in the booth. You get to go out to sunny San Diego. Anything you're looking forward to out there? When's the last time you were in San Diego?
Last year.
Oh, you were for PLL last year?
Yeah. I think that I was there last year for it. I think we'll see. We're trying to get not to like spoil the surprise or whatever, but so there's this dude. We went to the beach last year. We had like a little the games were at night, so we had some time, and so we went to the beach, and there's this guy that makes like these custom sandcastles, it was too quick a turnaround. But what we're hoping to get him to like build something for this weekend.
Cool.
Some sort of like, whether it's the matchups or the logo. I'm not involved in like the creative process, but we're trying to get like, I don't even know what his name, Sandcastle Joe. We're trying to get it.
It's probably Sandcastle Steve. Let's be honest.
So so it's like a year in the making. Like, we all were there together, and we were like, oh my God, this would be so cool. And it was like too quick of a turnaround. And so we got ahead of it this year. So that to me is like, from a production standpoint, that would be pretty neat in terms of just like drawing in kind of some of the local culture, if you will, and kind of bringing that to the broadcast, like in a cliche way, the same way, like anytime there's a game in Seattle, there's like the fish, which is a little cliche, but still, like, you got to do it kind of. If we can get Sandcastle Joe and some sandcastles in the mix, I'm going to be pumped.
I was going to ask, speaking of cliches, like, you got a good burrito. Do you have your go-to burrito spot in San Diego? Do you have,
I'm open. I'm crowdsourcing. I've got a local friend, so I'm going to meet up with him for a meal. It has yet to be determined where we're going specifically. So I'm just trusting the local. Last year we ate at a place on the beach. The tacos were fantastic, but I don't know if it was like the most touristy thing in the world, or if it's like locals eat there. I have no clue. Me saying that now out loud, we probably know that it was incredibly touristy. And it was probably like $20 a taco.
Does it really matter?
Yeah. And then the other thing, that San Diego's got is a great farmers market, like a fantastic farmers market.
Produce for the flight home. Get a couple tomatoes and cukes to bring back.
Well, Quint will 100% bring it up on the broadcast. So if you're playing a PLL drinking game, adults, as you're watching, like, that should be one of the things. Does Quint bring up the farmers market? But what's funny about it last year is, the broadcast team's walking around the farmers market together, and then lo and behold, we bump into Danny Logan.
Just getting his weekly shopping in.
Who was there with his girlfriend, or I think fiance, maybe now wife. But he lives there full time. Plays for the Seals, NLL. So we just like bumped into him, on whether it was, I'm blanking out, it was Friday morning or Saturday morning or Sunday morning or whatever. But it was just funny, like, kind of seeing worlds collide, like, and also like the PLL players, like, in their real life, it was just like him walking around. So, yeah.
Another big announcement over the last couple of weeks was the class of 2026. It'll be joining you and Streebs in the Hall of Fame. Drew Adams, Greg Gurenlian, Brodie Merrill, Joe Tsai. So you get like the emeritus, like the godfather of lacrosse, and then a couple of the greats, guys that we played with and against for many, many years.
Yeah, all of them so incredibly deserving. And it was cool that they kind of added this contributor role or title or kind of category, I guess is a better way of putting it. But you look at Brodie, Greg and Drew, and like all kind of like one of one, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
not a lot of like comps in terms of like you're not like watching somebody, like if somebody's like, oh, he plays like Brodie Merrill, it's like, what? He's just stop right there, right? Like just don't. Like
Yeah,
I've never.
Drew is probably the only one that, just because there are a lot of great goalies, but he still had a unique style and his own thing, and he just won. He won a lot.
Super lanky lefty. Trained by Brian Doherty, and like has the Doc baiting, but like would pull it out way less frequently, right? Like he only pulled it out in like very select moments. So no one thinks of him as a baiter. But he had that in his back pocket. I think most notably, if we ever want to pull this clip,
Oh, don't bring it up. You're gonna say it. I was gonna bring it up if you don't, I think.
Yeah, it's like it's incredible. I mean, do you want me to bring it up or do you want to bring it up?
You're talking about the save on Gittleman, right?
Yes, of course.
Were you were still in the Cannons for that, right?
No, I had, so I retired, and no joke, I like needed a break, right? I like kind of like took a step back and was just like, I need like a little cleanse. And for whatever reason, that day I was like, like it's probably around MLL playoff. I hadn't watched games in weeks, maybe the whole season. And I was like, I'm just kind of curious, like what's going on.
Your friend and business partner playing in that game. We're like, I'm not gonna. Kidding. Go on.
I would keep tabs on things, and I turn on the TV, and I'm like, no joke, scrolling, like old school, like scrolling through, and it was on MSG or SNY, one of the two.
I think it was probably MSG, because there was a Polanco connection with MSG. Nicky Polanco's brother, Armando Polanco, was high up at MSG, so that might make sense. There might have been a connection there with the Lizards.
I'm just like scrolling through, and it's like Boston Cannons at New York Lizards, and I'm like, yeah, like let's do it, and just like of all the games to watch, and I mean that game,
I still think it's one of the best, most crazy games.
Incredible. It was that crazy.
Was it Max Sebald that scored the tying goal? It might have been like Rob Emery. It was like it was someone who was on the Cannons for just a year or two, but like crazy goal to tie it up.
And goes to overtime, and like you guys get a turnover, you start pushing in transition, and next thing you know, it's Ratliff, and then Gittleman gets on his horse, and you're watching it, and it's like, oh my God, is this happening? Oh my God, no, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then
Gittleman passes it to Rat on the fast break. Yes. And you're like, and then Rat passes it back to Gittleman. And I was like, Gittleman's going to win. I remember being like, Gittleman's going to win this game. Gittleman's going to win the game for us.
And Adams baits him, and it is the most casual overtime save. I mean, it's like you would have thought it was the first minute of the game in terms of how casual Drew was. And I think like that to me was like Drew, like a microcosm of Drew Adams. Was just like never flustered, never rattled, like played you straight up, and then like knew when to bait. Just like and also just like off the field, just an incredible person. Like just like the nicest guy.
So he makes that save. Save, outlets it up like no problem to Paul. And I am like, well, Gittleman's out of the goal. This is trouble. I see Paul running down. What's that? I saw Paul running down, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to save this. I jump in the pipes. I'm like, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save Paul Rabel, my former teammate's shot, and I'm going to be the hero here. And I jump in cage, and I'm like all ready for his 2-pointer, which he winds up for. And then he throws it down to Matt Gibson, who had been covering. And I go, well, I'm screwed now. And I like in between, like, I'm like, do I go for him or do I try to save it? And I kind of reach, and he just wraps it around me and dunks it. And I was like, wow, there it goes.
Yeah.
That was, I was like so confident. I'm like, I'm gonna save the shot. I just in my head, I'm like, I'm saving this. And then he threw it to Matt, and I'm like, shit.
There's nothing. Nothing you could have done. Yeah, that game was nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I think that was. You remember what year? I think that was 14. I want to say that was 2014. It feels like 2014. A couple years after the championship, we were like had rebuilt a little bit, and we're finally starting to get things on the right track.
And then you kind of like going around the horn. You look at like Greg and Brodie, and I think obviously what they've accomplished as players, incredible. They're in the Hall of Fame, you know. But the other crazy thing is just what they've done, their impact off the field, right? In terms of what, you know, Gurenlian has done from a training perspective, to the face-off position, and elevating kind of the approach and the both physical and technical, but also the mental. And then Brodie, you know, it's like, hey, I'm going to start
building a factory of Division I players from Canada.
Like the Merrill family, it's like, yeah, we're going to start a school. It's like, we're like, what? Like you can do that? You can just start a school? Like, okay, like talk about like lofty ambitions and just crushing it. It just like what they've done at the Hill Academy is you know, nothing short of remarkable and inspiring and amazing. It's
decent alumni list.
I mean, like 20% of the PLL is Hill Academy.
It has a national champion and not had a Hill Academy kid on it ever.
I mean, there's been. I mean, it really would be like remarkable season to season to look at like what percentage of just like the overall pool of Canadians went to Hill Academy, and then like the entire league, like what percentage went there.
Yeah, it's a big chunk, that's for sure. All very well deserved. And Joe Tsai, I know he spends a lot. Does he live in San Diego full time, or is he? Because I know he's the owner of the Seals, but I would imagine he'll be there this weekend supporting.
Well, and Desert Dogs, right? And then also, you know, Brooklyn Nets and New York Liberty. So, you know, to speak of what he's done at Yale and Lawrenceville at the high school level, I mean, his impact across the sport is amazing. Like, I think, you know, his investment and passion and knowledge, and like it's authentic too. Like he loves the sport, you know. Like I've had interactions with him at like PLL events, and it's like he just wants to like talk lacrosse. You know, it's like really, you want to just, you know, it's just really cool. And to see someone that cares so much about it in his position is you know, what he's done for the game is, you know, there's a reason why he's the first contributor that's, you know, getting inducted.
So we've got PLL, we've got high school lacrosse, we've talked about, you know, youth lacrosse. We want to see more of your videos from this summer. We want to see the highs, we want to see the lows, we want to see the funny, the videos that made you laugh, the videos that made you cry, and we want to break them down. We feel like we struck a little bit of a nerve with the West Orange breakdown and the Ryan Boyle 1990 Cockeysville Cathedral game. Feel like that was one of our top rated episodes. So we want to see your videos. This is crowdsourcing. Send them in. We'll provide an email and send them in. We'll review them. We'll break them down, you know, and we'll see what the rest of the lacrosse world has to share with everyone. Because I think that's part of the fun.
This is our niche, Mitch. I think this is our niche. I think this is it. I think this is what we got to give people what they want, and they want youth lacrosse breakdowns.
Color commentators, not PLL, not NLL. No.
We're happy to oblige. We're happy to oblige. Just know that it's all in good fun, right? Just, you know, this is not like critical analysis. We're going to be kind of having some fun. But yeah, send them in. We'd love to showcase all of you out there. So send them in, and we'll break them down, and we'll have a good time with them.
And we don't care how old the clip is.
Yeah, that's no age limit. As long as it's filmed, we'll take it.
So it doesn't have to be from this summer. This can be
anytime. Yeah. I mean, this recency bias, maybe, you know, you might be easier to find or remember, but yeah, if you got old clips,
we just go in youth. We don't want people sending like high school hero stuff.
You know, we'll producer Angel sort through it all. He'll put it on the file. There was back when Lax Power was a thing. There was a GIF of me power cradle dodging Severna Park High School days. That's the only like video clip evidence I think I have. I might have a VHS somewhere of Severna Park versus South River junior year, when it was kind of my breakout game for Severna Park. But
I'll take you one step past that. Do you remember Lacrosse?
That maybe that's where the GIF was.
Yes, that's what it was. I think you butchered that. It was E-Lacrosse.
Yeah.
And if a clip from your game was gift, whatever, you made it. You were like through the roof, like over the moon, like, oh my gosh, I made E-Lacrosse. I made it.
And like, meanwhile, my 7-year-old went to camp yesterday, and there's already a HD highlight video of the first day of camp. He's like playing soccer in it, and like there's like 400 kids in the video. It's amazing. But yeah, we were GIFs back in the day, and that was like, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the check-in.
Let's check in.
We checked.
See you at the end of summer.
We checked the check-in.